Scholars, how are we doing today? That's awesome. We are now ready for a new day of learning. But remember, as we discussed, your best can be better. So whatever we did yesterday, we'll have to improve on today. And now, here comes your treat. Today, we will learn about rounding numbers using vertical lines or rounding numbers in vertical lines. And so it's a great opportunity to achieve and improve on your best from yesterday. And so let's discuss when we say vertical line, what comes to mind? What do you think about? Okay, that's great. Yes, it's a straight line. Let's think of a ruler. And I'll give you an example, but just a straight line with a top, a bottom, and a midpoint. But in utilizing vertical lines, there's some basic principle things we need to be aware of. And some you may know, and some you may not. And so this is the time we can continue to learn together and continue to elevate each other's learning, okay? So the first thing is, in a vertical line, we talked about having a top, a middle, and a bottom, correct? In doing that, what are we trying to do? Well, we're trying to approximate, meaning get to the closest value. Sometime in life, we just have to approximate values. So imagine if I say, oh, there's 369 jelly beans in a jar. So we may have to round that up to the nearest number. And so that's part of what we will do. We'll have to round the jelly beans up to a tenth or down to a number, to a tenth, a place value rather. And so we have to learn the principles before we can answer that question. We have to understand the basic rules and how to do that, okay? And so we know about place values, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, and so on and so on and so on. And we'll be utilizing some of those basic skills that we learned earlier to help us move through this process, okay? And so again, let's revisit. Now we talk about in place values. Now we're talking about vertical lines, and we're talking about rounding numbers. When we're rounding numbers, every number should end in a zero. Every number should end in a zero. And again, understanding place values and understanding approximation and rounding would help us to be successful in that and in those things, okay? Any questions so far? Very important. Just a brief recap. So we have vertical lines, and there's how many dimensions or points on the vertical line? 3, that's correct. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, and we always round to what? Always a 0 at the end of a number. That's correct. Thank you very much. And then when we think about place values, what are some examples of a place value? Ones, tens, hundreds. That's great, awesome. You guys are already gurus. So we are ready. So let's now look at an example of a vertical line. Class, as we just discussed, here's an example of a vertical line. And as you note, you can see there's a top, there's a midpoint, and there's a bottom. We'll use this type of process as we go through to resolve and rounding numbers, okay? Okay, class, now so we learned about vertical lines and rounding. Let's spend a little bit of time discussing place values. Place values are certainly a valuable tool in understanding rounding numbers. And so the question may be posed rounding to a digit. And so we have to understand digits from ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and so on, etc. And so that's important to understand the place value so you can understand when we're asking for particular digits and then understanding how to round, okay? So let's take a look at an example that shows you how to round in particular places and place values, how it's actually set up in a little sample I've designed for you, okay? So as we just discussing place values, here are some examples of place values with ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands. One of the golden rules is the further left you go, the higher the place value. And so the value that's the place value, the digits that's the furthest to the left, is traditionally the highest value within that number sequence. Okay? Okay, scholars, so we're moving right along. So now it's time to do what I would consider a mid quiz, but we'll do it as a group, as a team. And let's test some of our learning to date, to this point. And before we move into the lesson, I want to make sure, would like to see that you have a good understanding of vertical lines, rounding numbers, and some level place values, okay? So as a class, we'll work on this together. It'll be a 4 or 5 questions, so here we go, okay? What do you think, class? Question on rounding. Making a number what? Simpler. Awesome, awesome job. Good, good. Well done. Okay, next question on accuracy. How close a value is to its actual number? Great job. Come on, scholars. You guys are knocking out the park. Next question, class. The endpoint. Exactly. It's the end of the line segment. Great job, scholars. Okay, class, scholars. Question on vertical lines runs around, through, or up and down. Excellent, excellent. Great job. Okay, scholars, we're moving right along. So now we went through the preliminaries. Now we're feeling good about our understanding about the lesson. So now we are ready to jump in. We are now gurus and feeling comfortable and ready for another challenge. And so now I would like you to turn your attention as we present this first lesson and just go through a practical example of using vertical lines, rounding numbers, and understanding place values, okay? So let's turn to the board, to the monitor, and let's go over this example together. Okay, scholars, so here is our first question. It's asking us, what's the value of the underlying digit? Great, 900,000. So let's visit that for a minute. Why 900,000? Okay, so the nines and the what? That's what. So we have in the 100,000, we have 9 times 100,000, that's 900,000. In the tens of thousand, we have 3 times 10 is 10,000, so we got 30,000. In the thousand place value, we have 4, so that's 4,000. In the 100 place value, we have 100, so 100 times 1 is 100. In the tens, we have 2, so it's 2 times 10 is 20. And in this ones, we have 7. 7 and 1 is 7, okay? And so just wanted to give you an idea how it works in terms of place value and why we came with the 900,000. So question 2 should be a little easy to respond to. What's the place value of the underlying digit? Right, 100,000 is in the 100,000 place. That's excellent, excellent. So now, moving right along, so the next question is, write the entire number in word form, okay? So we are actually going over a few more digits to the left, which means it's becoming greater. Exactly, great job, great job. So if we had to write this out, it will start in the hundreds of millions, right? So we have 8 in the hundreds of millions, so it'll be 872 million, because we have the 7, the tens of a million and million, 72 million. And then we go back to 934,000, because the 9 is in the 100,000 place. 4,127. Excellent. So you understand the place value of all. Great job. 872,934,127. Awesome. And the last question is, which digit is the greatest value? And we said the digit to furthest to the left. Outstanding. And so that would be the 8, which is in the hundreds of million place value. Okay? You guys have done all the scholars. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Enjoyed it. Your understanding seems to be very, very excellent. And you're doing a great job in just learning how to improve on that on your level of learning. Any questions while I'm on the board that you see that you think you need some help with as we move along? And again, if you're not asking questions, you have all the answers. And remember, our goal is to be what? Exactly. We want to be our best to be better. And so we always trying to improve in everything we do. And so remember, we're still trying to count those jelly beans. Now we have a better understanding than how to account for those jelly beans and round, correct? So now, at home, brothers, sisters, mom, aunts, they can't rub you with your jelly beans because you know how to approximate. You know how to get close to that actual number. Okay? Great job, scholars. Great job. Scholars, we're doing well. So I love the energy. So I have a question. We're done with we've done our independent learning activities. How was the collaborative learning activities? I felt like you learned a lot from each other. You've pushed each other, challenged each other. You learned. I know some of you are having some challenges, and so I've tried to put some of you together to make sure you can learn and learn from each other. And those who have a better feel, we're helping others move along. Love that interaction. Love that energy. Loved how you sort of challenge each other and ask questions, and so you give the others a chance to lead. And those are great leadership skills and great team skills. So doing those collaborative exercises and teaming exercises, I hope you grew from that. And that's a part of our good process. Sometimes peer learning is an awesome experience because there's levels of comfort there. And I'm here to make sure we have a great learning experience. But I love the leadership for some of the students who are actually feel like they're a little more comfortable in helping their classmates and the other scholars, like I say, to move along in that process. So great energy, great learning, great set of activities. Noise level was good. You guys respected each other's space. So I want us to continue down that line. I think that's an awesome way to continue to learn. In closing, we have one more exercise I'd like to go through before we end today. You get done to me so great and such a great class, okay? Let's give a minute. Let's turn over to the board. I know first I'll give you a few minutes, about five minutes to work through it, and then we'll sort of work through as a class together. Is that okay? Okay, proceed. Okay, scholars, so now we are rounding up from 358. What do we have? We round up to the nearest 10. And so rounding up will give us 360, correct? Now we're rounding for the bottom number from 358. What did we come up with? Okay. Yes, excellent. 350. Exactly. Round down, you find your midpoint, and the next 10 down is 350. That's excellent. Great strategy. Great strategy. So now the next question is, how many ones are there in 358? And so if we go to our place value, in the ones column, they are showing the number 8. So there are 8 ones in 358. Awesome. Now, how many hundreds are there in 358? Jelly beans. The jelly beans. Right. Awesome. 3, because we go to the place value and we look at the number, and that's awesome. Great job, scholars. Very proud of your progress. Scholars, great day, great learning activities, great energy, homework, any outstanding assignments, any questions, please let me know. Send me a note, ask questions. Other than that, have a great day and see you soon. And remember, your best can always be better.